Have you stopped walking to the mailbox because your legs feel too weak? Maybe you've started parking closer to store entrances, not because you're lazy, but because you're genuinely worried your legs might give out halfway. This isn't getting old. It's one muscle group that's been asleep, and 4 chair movements can wake it up. And I'm going to show you exactly which muscles and those 4 movements, starting in just a moment. You have more control over leg strength than you realize. The weakness you're feeling isn't age stealing your mobility. It's 4 specific muscles that shut down from sitting, not from time passing. And those muscles, they wake up fast when you give them the right movements. Today, the 4 chair exercises that reactivate them. No gym, no standing, just 15 minutes 3 times a week.
Let's start with the muscle most seniors don't even realize has shut down completely.
Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt your thigh muscles actually working when you walk? Not just moving, but genuinely engaging with strength. For most seniors, the answer is they can't remember. And there's a specific reason why. Your quadriceps, the 4 muscles on the front of your thighs, are supposed to fire every time you take a step, climb stairs, or stand from sitting. They're your primary leg powerhouse. But here's what happens after 60. If you sit for more than 4 hours a day, and most of us do, these muscles literally forget how to activate fully. It's called quad amnesia. They're there. They're not damaged, they've just gone dormant from lack of specific engagement. This is why walking feels harder, stairs feel impossible, and standing from low chairs requires pushing off with your hands. Think of your quad muscles like a car engine that's been sitting in a garage for months. The engine isn't broken, it just needs to be turned on and warmed up properly. When you sit all day, blood flow to your quads drops by up to 40%. Less blood means less oxygen. Less oxygen means the muscle cells go into sleep mode. They stop responding to normal walking signals from your brain. That's when your body compensates, using your hip flexors and lower back instead. Now you're walking with the wrong muscles, creating pain and exhaustion.
The fix is seated knee extensions. Here's exactly how to do it. Sit in a sturdy chair, feet flat on the floor. Slowly extend your right leg straight out in front of you until your knee is completely straight. Hold for 3 seconds. You should feel your thigh muscle tighten. Lower slowly, taking 3 seconds to return to starting position. That's 1 rep. Do 10 reps on the right, then 10 on the left. Rest 30 seconds. Repeat for 3 sets total. Do this every other day. Within 2 weeks, you'll feel your quads wake up when you walk. That heavy, dead leg feeling, it starts to disappear. Here's something about leg strength that research only recently uncovered, and it has to do with a muscle most people have never even heard of. Have you tried to lift your leg to put on pants while standing? Did you have to grab onto something for balance? Did you almost tip over? That's not a balance problem. That's your hip flexors failing. Your hip flexors are the muscles that lift your knee toward your chest. Every time you take a step, climb stairs, or get into a car, these muscles fire. But after 60, especially if you sit in a reclined position, like in a soft couch or car seat, your hip flexors stay in a shortened, weakened position for hours. Over months and years, they physically shorten, becoming tight and weak at the same time. This creates a devastating combination. Your hip flexors can't lift your leg properly when walking, so your stride gets shorter. Shorter stride means slower walking. Slower walking means less activity. Less activity means more muscle loss. It's a downward spiral. Your hip flexors work like a pulley system, lifting your leg. When you sit for long periods, it's like leaving a rubber band stretched out. It loses its snap. Think of your hip flexors like a garden hose that's been kinked for months. When you finally try to use it, water barely trickles through. That's what's happening when you try to lift your leg. The muscle can't generate force because it's been in a weakened, shortened position for too long. We need to strengthen them in their full range of motion while seated. Here's the seated hip flexion exercise. Sit upright in your chair, back against the backrest. Place your hands on the sides of the chair for stability. Slowly lift your right knee toward your chest as high as you comfortably can. Aim for hip height if possible. Hold for 2 seconds. Lower slowly, taking 3 seconds. That's 1 rep. Do 12 reps on the right, then 12 on the left. Rest 30 seconds. Repeat for 3 sets. Do this 3 times per week. Within 3 weeks, you'll notice your stride gets longer when you walk. Stairs feel less daunting. Getting dressed becomes automatic again. But this next exercise? Everyone thinks they're doing it right, but they're actually doing it in a way that makes leg weakness worse. Can I get real for a second? Most seniors I work with tell me they march in place for exercise. And I watch them do it, and I immediately see the problem. They're barely lifting their feet off the ground. That's not marching, that's shuffling. And shuffling reinforces weak legs. True marching requires your hip flexors, quads, and glutes to work together in coordination. It's not just about moving your legs, it's about engaging the entire chain of muscles that control walking. But here's what most seniors do wrong. They march too fast, barely lift their knees, and lean back in the chair for support. This turns an effective exercise into a worthless movement that doesn't challenge any muscle groups. The result? You do 100 marches and feel tired, but your muscles don't actually get stronger. You've wasted energy without rebuilding the specific neural pathways your brain needs to recruit leg muscles properly when you walk. Proper marching is like a training drill for your nervous system. Your brain sends signals to your muscles in a specific sequence. Hip flexor contracts, quad extends, glute stabilizes. This sequence needs to fire rapidly and in perfect order when you walk. Think of your nervous system like a phone network. After 60, some of those calls between your brain and leg muscles get dropped. The signal weakens. Proper marching rebuilds those connections by forcing your brain to send strong, clear signals repeatedly. It's not about cardio. It's about reprogramming the muscle firing pattern your body has forgotten.
Here's how to do seated marching correctly. Sit upright, hands on the sides of the chair. Lift your right knee as high as you can, aiming for hip height, then lower it completely so your foot taps the floor. Immediately lift your left knee to the same height. The key, go slow. Take 2 seconds to lift, 1 second to lower. Your goal is control, not speed. Do 20 slow, controlled marches. That's 10 per leg. Rest 1 minute. Repeat for 3 sets. Do this 3 times per week. Within 4 weeks, your walking speed will increase because your brain has relearned how to fire those muscles properly. This next exercise? It's the difference between walking confidently and worrying each step might be your last before you fall. Tell me something. When you walk, do you shuffle? Do your feet barely leave the ground, almost like you're skating instead of stepping? That's not laziness. That's weak calves robbing you of your natural stride. Your calf muscles do something critical that most people don't realize. They provide the push-off power at the end of every step. When your calf contracts, it propels you forward and lifts your heel off the ground. After 60, if you're not actively using your calves, like walking uphill, climbing stairs, or doing calf-specific exercises, they atrophy fast. Studies show calf strength can decline by 20 to 30% between ages 60 and 70. Weak calves mean you can't push off properly, so your stride shortens, you shuffle, and every step requires more effort from your hips and thighs, muscles that are already struggling. This is why walking 10 minutes feels like walking a mile. Think of your calves like the rear tires on a car. They're responsible for acceleration and forward momentum. When those tires are flat, the engine, your hips and thighs, has to work 3 times harder to move the car forward. Your calf muscle has 2 parts, the gastrocnemius, that's the big visible calf, and the soleus, that's the deep calf muscle. The soleus is critical for endurance walking. It fires continuously when you walk to stabilize your ankle and propel you forward. When the soleus weakens, every step becomes unstable. That's when you start shuffling to avoid lifting your foot fully, because lifting requires calf strength you don't have anymore.
Here's the seated calf raise. Sit upright in your chair, feet flat on the floor. Place your hands on your thighs for a light resistance. Lift both heels off the ground as high as you can, rising onto the balls of your feet. Hold for 2 seconds at the top. You should feel your calves tighten. Lower slowly, taking 3 seconds. That's 1 rep. Do 15 reps. Rest 30 seconds. Repeat for 3 sets. Do this 3 times per week. Within 4 weeks, you'll notice your stride lengthens, shuffling decreases, and walking feels less exhausting. We've covered 4 exercises so far, but this last one is the game changer. It's the one that ties everything together and restores the coordination your legs lost.
Here's what most people miss. You can strengthen individual muscles all day long, but if you don't practice the actual movement pattern you're trying to improve, your brain won't transfer that strength to real life. Sit to stand is the ultimate functional test. Here's how to practice. Sit in a sturdy chair, scoot forward so you're near the edge, place your feet flat, hip-width apart. Lean forward slightly, then push through your heels to stand without using your hands. If you can't do it without hands yet, that's okay. Use 1 finger on the armrest for balance, then progress to no hands as you get stronger. Do 5 slow, controlled sit-to-stands. Rest 1 minute. Repeat for 3 sets, 3 times per week. This is the exercise that shows you your progress. When you can stand from a chair without hands, you've officially rebuilt functional leg strength. That's when independence is no longer a concern, it's your reality.
So we've covered 5 exercises today. Seated knee extensions for your quads, seated hip flexion for lifting power, seated marching for coordination, seated calf raises for push-off strength, and sit-to-stand practice to tie it all together. Pick just one to start with this week. You don't need to do all 5 immediately. Master one, then add the next. Progress beats perfection. Which exercise will you start with? Comment 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. I want to see where everyone's beginning. Subscribe to March Senior Health for more practical strength-building tips for staying independent after 60.